All right, thank you. Excuse me, Madam Clerk, I've got a bit of a cold here. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting. It's just after 5:30 p.m. This is the regular council meeting for April the 27th, 2026. Council did meet at 4 o'clock for a brief in-camera session, and then we had recess, and now we are returning for our regular council meeting here at 5:30. All of us are present here in the room, and we have many of our staff members with us as well, and we have also members from the public here as well, so we've got a full meeting ahead of us. I'd like to just begin by acknowledging that I, of course, have a terrible springtime cold, which has been affecting me since about Thursday afternoon, and so it was a rotten weekend for the Measures House. I stayed as far away from folks as I could. However, I feel like I'm okay to do this meeting, and if I have to leave, I will talk to the deputy mayor about taking over. Okay? Thank you very much, Paul, for being there. I'll start with the land acknowledgement. I'd like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada. As traditional stewards and caretakers of the land, we acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundary of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tiahuanacoa, the Wendat, and is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of the intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask the Creator for guidance in all that we do. As I said, Council, we did have our closed session at 4, and so our first item on today's agenda for 5:30 is the approval of the agenda. And it is, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated April the 27th, 2026 as presented. Mr. Walker, Councillor Deneen, thank you very much. Are there any questions on the agenda? All right, seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. At this time, declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Are there any declarations? Mr. Broderick, thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a pecuniary interest in item number 10.5.1, title FD 002-2026. The nature is a company that I am co-owner of has a bid on this request.
All right, thank you very much. Perhaps when that comes up, we'll ask you to step aside then. Thank you very much. Oh, it looks like you've got your paperwork already filled out. Well done. All right, is there another? Oh, Mr. MacArthur, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a pecuniary interest in 10.2.6. So 2.6, so I'll be stepping aside for that one.
All right, 10.2.6. Okay. 10.2. Okay. All right, thank you very much then. Council, then, if there's nothing further on pecuniary interests, nothing? Let's go to public participation period, item number 4. Be advised that comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or the administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes, and questions or comments are to be directed to the mayor, and questions shall not refer to personnel matters, litigation or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting or any item considered confidential. And for those members of the public not able to attend the meeting in person, written public participation can be provided through the Township's portal. Written comments shall be received prior to noon on Friday before the regularly scheduled council meeting. Please remember, please remember to share the time with your fellow citizens. So at this time, excuse me, I'll go to the deputy clerk. Emma, do we have any representations of public participation?
Thank you, Your Worship. We received 3 electronic participation questions for this meeting.
All right, thank you very much. So you've heard we have 3. I have them here in front of me printed out. So let's start with the first one that came in. This one comes from Mr. Dave Witzka. It says, seeing the huge range in bids for the tourism roof replacement is concerning. When the winner, lowest bid of $55,932, is $15,068 or 22% lower than the next bid of $71,000. Red flags pop up. Are they qualified to disconnect, reconnect solar panels? Will a licensed electrician be on site? What is the contingency for extras as past comments on roof leakage was never addressed? And again, why are we using the lowest bidder? Evening Hall, Gowan Park, Kitchenette were costly projects for this very reason. Okay, I tell you what. Of course, the bidding process, Mr. Witzka, is available for people to submit their bids, and people want to be competitive with their bidding. Good for them. I'm happy that businesses are interested to do business with Clearview Township. I do not know the answer in regards to are they qualified, so I'll ask Mr. Vachon, who is here. Terry, can you comment on the qualifications of anybody, and is there a licensed electrician required for this project? Terry?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. And the answer is yes to all the above. They are fully qualified. An extensive background reference check was done with the company. As far as we know, everything is up and up. They have an extensive track record of good work. Yes, the solar panels will be removed. Yes, there will be a licensed electrician on site to remove the panels and reinstall them. And yes, we have full confidence in the company that's been chosen, or recommended, sorry.
All right, thank you very much for your answer. I'll move on. The next item that was referred to in our deputy clerk's note was that an item came in from Mr. Dave Witzka. It says, what is so unique about the Centennial Pool filtration system that it is a sole source contract? I'm sure there's plenty of plumbing companies that are more than qualified and interested to bid. And he makes some type of statement here about taxpayers' money. I'll tell you what, Terry, would you be able to comment about the Centennial Pool filtration system and this alleged sole sourcing contract? Terry?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Your Worship. Again, the existing system that's in place, so it's not a regular plumber that does that kind of work. This is a specialized pool filtration system. And so there's only a handful of companies actually in Ontario, and there's probably only maybe 2 in our area. The pool filtration system that's there needs to tap into the existing plumbing that's on site at the pool, and it's a special product. And we don't want to mix 2 products. It's very similar to, I guess you can compare it to like having a Ford truck and putting a Chevy engine in it. You know, can it go in? Perhaps, but it'll be a lot of problems with respect to trying to fit 2 different products. So that's my best analogy, Your Worship, and I apologize for the facetious analogy, but yeah, our hands are tied trying to match the existing filtration system with the existing pool piping system.
All right, thank you very much, Terry, for your answer. And we look forward to hearing about that in the report later on today. The final one that came in as part of our deputy clerk's documentation about public participation. This one comes from Mr. Dave Witzka. And when I read this, I was unsure what he was speaking of because he was not specific about his item. So I'll read the first part about this item because it doesn't specify what he's speaking of. Seeing that the township seems to always award the winning tender to the lowest bidder, why this time is it awarded to the 3rd highest bid? It doesn't reference what he's asking about. It doesn't reference what this is speaking about. And then he makes a slanderous remark about the Liberal finance minister and the high-speed rail project. So I will not be responding to this because this is not a complete answer or a complete question because it doesn't highlight what the issue is. Is there any questions from members of the public who would like to come forward and ask any questions from the public? We have members in the audience. Going once, going twice. All right, thanks everybody. Public participation, we're going to call that closed then at this time. And we're going to move on in our agenda to item number 5, delegations and presentations, there are none, and public meetings, there are none. Council, we have the approval of the council meeting minutes. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the April 2nd, 2026 special council meeting and the April 13, 2026 council meeting as presented. Can I ask for Councillor Beelan and Councillor Deneen will be the mover and seconder, please. Any questions about those agendas? Those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you, that carries. Excuse me. All right, Moving on to item number 8, we have item number 8.1 is our closed session item. So we did, like I said, had a closed session, so this is the result of that. It says, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby directs staff to act in accordance with the direction provided in closed session regarding the human services matter. Moved by Councillor Broderick and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you so much. All right, we do have item number 8.2. So 8.2 is a very good recommendation. Perhaps before I read this and ask for a mover and seconder, can I just ask for Dan? Would you please outline, you asked Dan Perot, our Director of Public Works, asked to put this on the agenda. This has to do with our municipal public works workers and contractors. And so Dan, maybe you could just speak as to why you would ask for council to put this on the agenda. Dan?
Thank you, Your Worship. And this has been a campaign that AORS, Association of Ontario Road Supervisors, has enacted, and they're sending letters to the various departments of the Ministry of Ontario government. And it just really is a reaffirmation from council and from the province that they are acknowledging to protection of our workers, specifically our plow operators, sidewalk and roadway plow operators. They have seen a trend over the last few years at different municipalities that violence against those plow operators has increased. We're fortunate here in Clearview Township that, my recollection, we've had one where the police have had to be involved in the last few years, but other municipalities are facing increasing calls for service with disagreements or arguments with certain plow operators and residents around the province. So this would just add to the, if council does endorse this, and we send a letter off from council to endorse this request from the AORs, it would be much appreciated.
All right, thank you very much, Dan. If you're available for any questions, that would be great. Council, I'm going to open the floor to questions, and I see Paul's got his hand up. If anybody has any questions, go ahead, Paul.
Dan, it's just a comment. When we saw last winter what happened in Dufferin County, where a person had the nerve to phone 911 because they couldn't get around a snowplow that was plowing the road, it tells you the need for more support like this from the province. So it's a very well-written resolution, and we'll wholeheartedly support that. Thank you.
Very good point. Other members? Is there? Yes, Mr. MacArthur?
Yeah, just along the same lines as a deputy, it's myself being on the road quite a bit and whatnot, and you just see the impatience of drivers is getting worse and worse every year. Like I seen an incident this morning, the guy come out of the roundabout, couldn't wait to get in front of the truck in front of me, come down to the dump and made a left turn, and we all had to stop. But it's just little incidents like that, and you see them every day, not just in the city, but you see them around here. So I fully support this going forward. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Other members with any questions? No? Okay, council, I'm going to read this full resolution, then I'll take a breath, and then I will ask for a mover and seconder. Okay? It is a lengthy one, but I think it speaks very well, and I appreciate that Dan put this on our agenda for us to consider. Excuse me. Whereas municipal public works employees and contracted service providers are responsible for maintaining critical infrastructure, including roads, sidewalks, bridges, drainage systems, and winter maintenance operations that are essential to public safety and emergency response. And whereas during significant weather events and emergencies, these workers act as frontline responders, ensuring routes remain open for ambulances, fire services, police, school transportation, and the traveling public. And whereas municipalities across Ontario are reporting an increase in harassment, threats, intimidation, and dangerous interference from members of the public directed at municipal workers and subcontractors while they perform their duties. And whereas interference with municipal operations during storms and emergencies jeopardize service levels, delays, critical response times, and creates a significant occupational health and safety risk. And whereas the Association of Road Supervisors, Ontario Road Supervisors, AORS, has formally called on the province of Ontario to strengthen legislative protections, enforcement support, consequences for those who threaten or obstruct municipal public works staff and contractors, and now therefore be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby supports the call to action advanced by the Association of Road Supervisors, Ontario Road Supervisors, to improve protections for municipal public works workers and subcontractors, and that the province be requested to introduce legislative and enforcement measures that, item 1, recognize municipal public works workers and contractors as essential service providers during declared significant weather events and emergencies. Item 2, deter and penalize interference, threats, harassment, or obstruction of municipal operations. And item 3, provide clear direction and support to police services to proactively respond to these incidences. And that a letter conveying council support for these measures be sent to the Honorable David Piccini, Minister of Labor, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, the Honorable Robert Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Association of Road Supervisors, and Simcoe County Municipalities. Council, I'll look for a mover and seconder on this motion. Deputy Mayor, Mr. MacArthur, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'd like to call a motion. All in favor? That counts as a unanimous. Thank you very much. Breath. It's fun having a summer cold. Oh, it's fun. Council, item 8.3 is a county release regarding applications through the 2026 Experience Simcoe County Partnership Fund. I think we were in that group. Amanda, were we? Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
I'd like to comment to that. Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Just like to say we had 4 groups within Clearview Township.
Yes.
So Creemore Community Foundation, Purple Hills Arts and Heritage, Stainer Kinsman, and then our own Township of Clearview. Grace got a application in, and it's for signature events in the farmers market.
Perfect.
Promotion.
Exactly.
So,
That's what I thought. I remember seeing a release. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. That's great. So 4 organizations are benefiting from that. Simcoe County Museum, the Simcoe County Heritage Fair returns to Simcoe County Museum. That's always a lot of fun. That's a good thing to attend and bring your kids to. And then item 8.5 is the Devil's Glen correspondence. It's the notice of approved Devil's Glen Provincial Park Management Plan Amendment. That's something we've heard about a few months back, more than a few months back. Mr. Walker, do you want to speak to that?
Thank you, Your Worship. I thought at one point I read something about that they were going to expand the parking lot. But yet in their comments received for their final management plan, it does not include anything regarding parking. So I'm just wondering if there's some clarification on that that could be made.
Yeah, it's a long-term goal. I saw that in there too, and I would like them to build the parking lot as soon as possible.
Yes.
Because we have certainly dealt with parking along our side streets where people are using the park, as well as the county road 124 gets jammed up with cars on a beautiful weekend. You know, it's an interesting decision that's been made here because, well, I think it's marvelous that the park is going to have sort of expanded management use and planned uses. I also fear that it will also bring more and more people to the park, which then brings more foot traffic, more garbage, and more people looking for bathrooms. So I think that it's a concern. I would really hope that the management plan and the people at Parks Canada or Parks Ontario take a look at this and recognize that there are, you know, there's some impacts to them changing the management plan there. On the good news side, the piece of land that we all know as the Reinhold property is adjacent to this, which will now become part of the park, which is good news. Which, Madam Clerk, I think our bylaw department still has an open file on that for the building that's on there. So hopefully we can get that resolved with the province of Ontario too. So anyway, this is a very interesting one, and I think if anybody has any questions, they should take a good look at it and reach out and look at the management plan, and there's contacts on there on where you can make comment to it. So good points. There's nothing further in there in that category. Thank you, Council. Council, we do have, We're going to go to our award reports. I think I can hang in here for a little longer. So we'll start with our award reports. It'll give me a bit of a break, and I'll start with Mr. Broderick first. Is that okay? Mr. Broderick, you're up first. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. April the 14th, attended the Clearview Chamber of Commerce Executive Meeting. April 15th, attended the Clearview Community Assistance Grant Check Presentations. On the 21st, attended the Clearview Library Board meeting. On the 22nd, attended the Clearview Climate Action Recognition presentation, awards presentation. And tomorrow will be the Creemore BIA. That's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. MacArthur.
Thank you, Your Worship. Once again, I helped or attended the assistant grant presentation. And last Thursday, we had evening hall board meeting, and we've confirmed that we're going to bring back the evening beef barbecue on June 27th. So hope to see everybody there. It'll be the usual roast beef and taters and good old pork and beans to go along with it. And then also on Wednesday, the climate change recognition night. I attended that as well. Thank you.
Thank you for attending that, fellas. I appreciate that. Councillor Deneen, you'll be up next.
Thank you, Your Worship. The community grants, the check presentation was really great, and we got to see a lot of our community and the volunteers that go along with that, and we really appreciate that. The 22nd, the Clearview Climate Action Awards. I just want to make note that Ottawa Central Public School won one of those awards, which really made me proud of them. And fishing season seemed to get off to a great start in Ottawa. There were no issues that I'm aware of. Nobody got in touch with me about it. And the Ottawa Hall scrap bin is on. We're getting our 4th bin today, so that's going really well as we expect it to, because the springtime they really do appreciate that. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I dropped off a few things to the scrap bin and was quite impressed how full it was, like to the top. It was full. Councillor Beelan, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. April 15th, I was at the presentation of the assistant grants, the checks. It was a good time, and a lot of people got to realize what they were doing. That same day, I went to the Station of the Green meeting, and all is well there. April 21st, I went to Collingwood for the Clerks on Call, and our clerks were part of the clerks hosting that event. It was great to get info if you want to become a politician, a municipal politician. I think they're going to be putting it online, if I'm correct. Not that one? Okay, because the information was very valuable. It was disappointing that there weren't that many people there, because the election is coming up soon, and it'd be nice if more people ran for different positions, and that's a good place to get your information that you need. April 22nd, the Climate Action Recognition presentation. There was lots of council members there, and the Creemore Echo did a fantastic job with their write-up last week. And finally, I just want to remind everyone that it is turkey season. Don't be out there gobbling in the bush. That's all I can say.
Wear your blaze orange. Thank you. Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Your Worship. As been mentioned, the Community Assistant Grant on the 15th, the Library Board on the 21st. I just want to say that I attended on the 17th the Clearview Community Theatre fundraiser concert for their monies raised for their fall show. And to those out there that don't realize what community theater is all about, it's more youth, and it's singing, dancing, and we've had a lot of youth that have moved on to colleges and universities and have taken up theater arts as their main. But just to let you know that the fundraiser starts there, as their rights for the next show are $12,000 US. So that money has to be raised first before, you think about, before they sell a ticket, there's outlay of 12 grand US for the rights to the show. So it's an expensive venture. So I encourage those that when the show's on at the in October at the G&E grounds, that people get out and support the community theater. It's local talent. Local, I mean from, pretty well Collingwood, Wasaga Beach, Barrie, Creemore, south of Creemore, west. We have a lot of talent that's out there. So please support that, and that was a great fundraising event. And just let people know that the Clearview Community Theater is out there and alive and well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Walker. And Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. As most people are aware, I've been away a little bit. However, we came back in full form last Thursday night, and I attended via the Simcoe County, the OFA meeting. And they said thank you to our mayor, who had dropped in to see the kids' safety day at Huron Tractor. I believe there was about 135 kids there, and they really appreciated the support from our different fire departments and the mayor coming out to say hello, and which was really, really appreciated by the group. Friday, I was at the NVCA meeting, and I've always promised to keep you informed of what's going on. As most people are aware, the province has consolidated all our conservation authorities into 8 conservation units, which we are part of the Huron Bay, or Huron Shores, they call it. This will take effect on February 1st of 2027. Now, how it's going to play out yet, the government's giving out little tits and pieces, but right now there's a lot of juggling going on, and we still don't know. Anyways, we will keep you informed as far as that goes. This morning, His Worship and myself attended the short mat bowling showdown. Lawn bowling, I don't call it lawn bowling, just bowling showdown. So Amanda, your staff, Terry, it was interesting to go there and see the people, and it's gaining popularity. It was a nice to see sort of thing, so we did that. Thursday, for a lot of people, we're having the opening of the rail trail at 11 o'clock at the park here in Stayner, right behind the gazebo with all the stuff the county's having that. We will be in an EDC presentation before that time, but the county, the warden's going to be there, and a whole lot of people from the area. So please feel free to come out. I presume they'll have some coffee and stuff, but I don't know what they have in mind, and unless Terry Vachon can tell us more, which he probably can't. Terry doesn't know yet, but we'll see something there, Terry, to keep everybody amused. The big thing this weekend is the Kinsman Duck Race. So, I've been advised they have a few ducks left, and they haven't sold the winning one yet. So if that's a bit of an encouragement to get out and buy some, I know my wife booked 7 the other day because we'd been away, but it's going to be, I won't say kiddie hell, but it's going to be fun. So especially for the young people, if you've never been to the duck race, the Centennial Park, it is phenomenal to go to. There's music, there's playthings. There's kids will be jumping in that water this year, and they will go home nice and dirty to mom and dad. So anyways, please participate and support the Kinsman. It's one of our signature events, and we really appreciate the effort the volunteers all do. Now, one question I noticed for the community, we got a letter about an open burn that the province is doing. I believe, is that at the Devil's Glen?
That's the county actually doing
The county,
that. There's
correct.
a Nottawasaga tract off of County Road 124.
Correct.
So there's an open burn going to be happening in the tract. It's part of the burn program that the county puts together to basically clean up the brush in the forest. And it's a natural regeneration process. So it will be very well supervised, and I know that the county's pretty much an expert at doing this. They've done it all over the county where there's forests that need to be cleaned up. They've targeted this particular tract a couple of years now, and just trying to time it in between weather and other areas. And so this one is the one that's definitely going to be targeted. I'm not sure if the chief knows more about that. Chief, are you involved in that at all? Is our Clearview Fire Department going to be involved in that burn?
Through your worship, we're not going to be overly involved, but I did meet with them last week, and it might not happen until fall now.
Oh.
So we'll get about a day's heads up, but that's it.
And that's what happens, is that because conditions change and whether the moisture in the ground is not just right, they will not host it, and so.
The information we received indicated a lot of it had to do with the ice storm. So if they decided not to burn, Scott, you're telling us that's fine too. But if people are out that way and they see the burn going on, don't call 911. It's a controlled burn. So anyways. And that would be all I have to say. And just once again, please support the Kinsman with the duck race this weekend.
Absolutely. Another fundraiser that's going on right now is Tim Hortons. They're doing their cookie day thing, their whole Smile Cookie campaign. And I was over there this afternoon to see here in Stayner, Amy and Ann were there, and there was a group of people that were making cookies. Now, I didn't participate in making cookies today because of this cold. I absolutely did not want to get anywhere near any of the food with my coughing and hacking and so on. So I did step back, but I congratulated the crew that were working on it. But I want to report to you that Amy was quite pleased to hear that the Singhampton community is just booming with activity up there over the Smile Cookie campaign for the fundraiser, because the funds that are going to go to that are going to help with the little park and the playground equipment that's going to get built. And if you recall, we had a gentleman speak to us here at a council meeting a couple of meetings ago who spoke about that. And I think that's really great that Tim Hortons has stepped up to help support that little campaign. So that little drive-through up there in Singhampton apparently is just hopping with Smile Cookies. So I think that's great. So I just wanted to share that with you. And the short mat bowling too that was today, that was really interesting to see. The participants are from around the region, from Wasaga Beach, from Collingwood, from Clearview, and other parts near and far. Really enjoyed it. The participants commented to me that they were really grateful to be able to have the space and have the program, and we're also just as keen to get back on the greens, back on the actual greens out at the bowling greens themselves, because the greens here, I went by and I saw somebody working on it too. So I thought it was great that the volunteers at the Stayner Lawn Bowling Club are making the place look great. You had something else, Paul?
Yeah, just adding on to that, because a lot of the people who lawn bowl also do the short mat bowling. So we got a couple thank yous from people because we did support them in the grant program. And also a thanks to, I understand Amanda was one of our sponsors this year with coffee and stuff like that, so, which was really nice. We use everybody in the community. We thank everybody who does participate. We don't play favorites. Everybody's thanked. And so today was their turn. And so it was nice. We had some of their coffee.
100%. It was good coffee this morning too. So thank you, McDonald's. And I guess McHappy Day is coming up. So who wants to go through the drive-through there? You guys want to go to the drive-through at McHappy? That'd be fun. Marty, you'd be good at that. Yeah, okay. Attaboy. Good stuff. All right, let's move on, council. I think I can hang in here. We're going to move to our Parks and Recreation. We have our department reports under 10, so 10.11. This is report PCR 008 2026. This is regard to the Stayner Centennial Pool Filtration Capital Purchase. The recommendation is that be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PCR 008 2026, the Stayner Centennial Pool Filtration Capital Purchase dated April 27, 2026. And item 1, that Council approve the proposal submitted by PPL Aquatic Fitness and Spa Group, Inc. in the amount $119,500 plus HST, sole sourcing for the corresponding specialized equipment to the existing pool filtration system. Can I ask for a mover and seconder on this motion? Mr. Broderick, Mr. Walker at the end there, thank you. And Terry, I know you already spoke about this briefly. Is there anything you want to add to this report, or is that Amanda as well? Just Terry, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship.
Thank you.
No, thank you, yes. It actually is Ms. Murray's report, but her and I are both here to answer any questions. I don't think I have anything else to add unless, no. So we do not
Okay,
have
so you're
anything
both
to add,
available?
but we're both available.
Thank you. Members of council, do you have any questions to the staff? Yes, okay, Phyllis, please, you're up first, then Marty.
And just through your worship to Terry and Amanda, whichever one would like to answer, is this enough to keep the pool up and running for this year? Is this it for the pool, and that's enough to keep it running for the summer?
Through you, your worship, to Councillor Deneen. So this is the first phase of the capital project plan that was presented during, just prior to budget deliberations. This will keep the mechanical system in good working order. It's extended the life significantly. However, I would like to note, as included in the report, that the replacement will happen after this summer's season is completed, so as to not to impact our public pool programming for the summer. That, though, is a held breath, I guess you could say. We are on borrowed time for the facility, so pending any major facility repairs. Otherwise, this project will proceed in September.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Beelan?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering how old the old pump is, and what do they do with it? Do they recycle it, or is it still working? Could they get some money for it, or that's up to the company that takes it out, I guess, right? Because some of them pumps are pretty expensive to buy.
Sure, I'll take a stab at it, I guess.
So it's up to them to figure out what they want to do with it, if they can sell it or whatever.
Yeah, they'll be responsible for the disposal of any of the equipment that's taken out. It is not repairable in
Okay.
its given state, so the replacement is much more valuable than the,
So do we know how old that pump was, or
I don't have an exact life
it's
expectancy.
at the end of its life then?
Best guess is through Your Worship, and best guess is when the building was built. I think it's an
Okay,
original,
so Paul would probably know if those
Best
pumps
guess.
are worth anything.
like 40 years old probably.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Are there other members of council with questions? Paul, it's a pump question. I can't believe you're not even getting in on this.
I can tell you.
This is a pump question
I can tell you
here.
that
Come on.
pump is probably worth eight to 10,000, and it's not the cost of the pump, it's everything else that goes with it.
Yeah,
And it's just,
that
and
makes sense.
it's the plumbing, oversized piping, and as Terry mentioned earlier, you have to be specialized to do this kind of work, knowing how to work with chlorine and stuff like that. This isn't for the faint of heart or an average plumber, so anyways, he's answered it correctly.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you, staff. Thank you, council. If there's nothing further, I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you very much. We're going to move over to the Stainer Tourism Center roof. This is PCR 009, 2026. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PCR 009, Stainer Tourism Building Roof Replacement, dated April 27, 2026. Item 1, that Council award RFQ 2026-02 for the removal and replacement of the existing steel roof on the Clearview Tourism Building located at 220 Huron Street in Stainer to Above All Roofing and Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $55,932.79 plus HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the construction contract on behalf of the township. Okay, mover and seconder on this one. Mr. Broderick, thank you. Is there a seconder down the hall here? That's it. Mr. Van Staveren, we'll take that. Okay. Terry, the first question I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind, on this item is it's currently a steel roof at this time, and it has shown that it's got leaks. Is that right? So are these leaks related to the fasteners that are fastening the steel sheet onto the wood structure, I guess? Is that where the leaks are appearing, or they're not a result of the sheets rusting through by any means? Like, it's just a matter of, like, the leaks are there because of the age of it and the wear and tear from the weather, et cetera, and have the holes basically become so big that we just can't deal with them? Is that how it is?
Yes, Your Worship, that is correct. It's, I don't think we know exactly where all the leaks are coming from. There's a considerable amount of leaks. And when you go up in those roofs, it could come from anywhere and follow beams, and you don't really know. But I think it's all of the above. I think you are correct. It's just wear and tear. It could be some fasteners. It could be anything. It's an old roof, and it just needs to be repaired.
Yeah, well, I get that part. There's no doubt about it. The thing that disappoints me, anyway, is that steel roofs are supposed to last for a long, long time. So this one is, I guess, was put on by the previous owner. So we don't really know the real history on it. But when we purchased the building, it was inspected, and we had a good report at that time. And I guess at that time it was okay. But perhaps it was reaching the end of its sort of service life at that time. So, and anyway, knowing how how steel roofs work, the fasteners, the nails or screws that are put into it obviously puncture through the steel to attach, but the backing on those screw heads often either have a rubber gasket. I don't know, 100 years ago, they used to have like a lead washer sort of thing on them, but I don't think we do that anymore. Like we don't use lead anymore, but they used to. So the installation of this new roof, is there any indication that what sort of lifespan we would expect out of this new roof? Is that in your report somewhere?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Just before I answer the question with respect to the warranty part, there is in the report, there is a consultant's report that was attached to it. So we did actually have consultants do an evaluation of the roof. And you'll see in the appendix there, they did an extensive job, and they have identified a lot of circled areas where the roof was damaged. So there's a lot of assumptions that that's where a lot of the leakage was coming from. So it's actually part of that report. So a lot of those answers are in there. No, I apologize, Your Worship. I don't know off the top of my head. Part of what I wanted to say at the beginning of this report was that I wanted to thank Mr. Scott Haw, who played a big part in helping us out with this tender. And he did all the background checks for us and did a lot of work for us on this. And he would probably know the increment details of this, but off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay. The clerk is very efficient and just provided me with a snippet from the report. Says it's expected at least 15 years.
Perfect.
Anybody who puts up a steel roof knows they'll probably last longer than 15 years. So that's pretty good. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you very much, Terry, and thank you for this. And you're right. Thank you to Scott Haw for helping out. It's always nice to know. I've said it before that each of our departments work with each other to find best solutions and best skills and best answers that they can find. So glad to see the Public Works Department chipping in and helping out with that research as well. Thank you. Mr. Van Stavern.
Thank you. I picked up on the report. It said the roof could be restored, which would extend its lifespan by 10 to 15 years. So I think by putting a new roof on it, we can expect significant thing. Now, one comment I'll say to you, Terry, or if you need any help sourcing somebody who's qualified at doing solar panel removal, it's not even the panels, it's the framework that goes on. As you're aware, I own two 100 kilowatt systems and president of the Simcoe County Energy Cooperative, and we have to go through this on a regular basis. So make sure, if you want a name, I'll give you names, but they must be qualified to put that racking back up, because that's where most of the problems come. Now, I know we only have a small system on that building, but if we have leaks because of it, they will not warranty it if it's found to be faulty installation. So please, if you want me to reach out to me, I'll be glad to give you a name. So thank you.
All right, thanks for that information. Go ahead, Terry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Another component that I forgot to mention at the beginning also was the consultants that we hired back in 2024 to do a roof assessment of that building. They had estimated back in 2024 that it would cost approximately $120,000 to $130,000 to repair this roof. And we chose to wait and did the tender as per Mr. Haw's recommendation to do the tender at the beginning of this year, and we probably would see a considerable savings. So I think an estimate of a budget was, there was a budget that was estimated during this process of $60,000. So we actually went half of what the consultant recommended, and this came in even $5,000 cheaper. So again, a very good call on Mr. Haw's side of things for us to wait from a timing perspective, and it actually paid off.
Again, good work. Members of council, any further questions? Anybody else? No? Thanks very much, Terry. Look forward to this getting completed. Members of council, there's a motion in front of us. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on, number 10.1.3, this is Creemore Arena dehumidification. It says, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PCR 010, the purchase for the Creemore Arena dehumidification equipment dated April 27, 2026. Item 1, Council approved the quotation submitted by J and L Wilson and Sons Industrial Refrigeration, Carmichael, okay, in the amount of $89,430 plus HST. This will be a sole sourcing for the corresponding specialized equipment to the existing arena refrigeration system. And item 2, the council approve using the tax stabilization reserve to fund unbudgeted costs for this project. I'll take a mover and seconder, please, to get this on the floor. Deneen and Walker, thank you. Terry, is this your report again? Yep, thank you.
Yes, it is, Your Worship, and thank you. Very quickly, unfortunately, this is one capital project that came in higher than what was budgeted back in the summer, I guess, of 2025. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Unfortunately, this one came in a little higher. They tell us that the cost of certain components of the humidification system has increased in the year. So unfortunately, we're stuck with this amount, and I'm available for any questions that council may have.
All right, thank you very much. I will look to council for some questions, but before I do that, I will ask the treasurer, hi Kelly, if you could prepare an answer for me in regards to the health of our tax stabilization reserve to be able to handle this ask. Give you a moment if you need to look it up, or do you have that already?
Thank you, Your Worship. The difference in the budget amount would be covered by the tax stabilization reserve with no issues.
Okay, so you're comfortable with that? All right, thank you. Don't need to worry then, thank you. Who's got a question? Paul, you got something you want to ask? Okay.
Thank you. Terry, when I came on a couple of years ago, we had just put the dehumidification in the Steiner Arena, and what a difference it made, you know, the fog and everything else. So I think it's well warranted putting it in the Creamore Arena as well. My only question, are Carmichael's the one that are doing our service work in that arena right now?
Through Your Worship, yes, correct.
So that works well. We're using an existing supplier, we'll call it. So thank you.
And corresponding expertise.
That's why I was wondering about that, because I knew it was Carmichael, but I didn't understand the J.L. Wilson and Son, so it must be a different name for the company. Anyway, go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, J.L. Wilson purchased Carmichael, I think, a couple of years ago. So, but they kind of keep that brand.
I get it. Marty, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just going to say, didn't we just do Stainer? But we did. So how old are these dehumidifiers in Creamore? And do we know they're at the end of their life, obviously?
Through Your Worship, there's two units. One is newer than the other. I think the oldest one is like over 25, 30 years old. You can't even get parts for them anymore. A lot of Band-Aids. And the second one, I think it's maybe 10 years old, 9 years old, I think.
So if my memory serves me correct, this is about the same price as what we paid in Stainer, isn't it, for these humidifiers?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thanks.
In Your Worship, just to clarify, in Stainer, there's a slight increase because we actually moved the unit locations, which has added to the improvement that Deputy Mayor is referring to. So there's a slight cost, but this one here, we're just replacing the same location. There should be no additional costs.
People have been into the Stainer Arena. They've seen that move by putting it in the southwest corner. Sort of a apparatus had to be built to put it on, and that was the additional steel cost and installation cost to put that in. But it's made a tremendous difference because it now creates a proper circulation pattern inside the facility instead of two units sort of blasting into the middle of the room. This creates a sort of a orbiting vortex of air movement, and it works really well. So that's proven to work really well this past season. Go ahead.
Terry, quick question on that newer of the used unit. Is there any sense or any comment about repurposing it for the curling club?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Deputy Mayor. We haven't had those discussions yet with them. I should have perhaps been prepared for that, but we haven't had those discussions yet, but I'll find out and I'll report back to council.
I'm sure you can find a space to store it for now. Attaboy. Thank you. All right, members of council, nothing further? Oh, sorry, Phyllis. Didn't see that.
I'm thinking, through Your Worship to Kelly, if something comes in under budget, where does that excess go to?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Deneen, that's an excellent question. It all depends on where it's being funded from. So if the original funding source was a reserve, it's just not removed from that reserve, it stays there. If the original source was through taxation, what'll happen is that will flow through into the tax stabilization reserve as part of the surplus.
So theoretically, if that was the case, the difference between the two is only $5,000. One's lower, one's higher. Thank you.
Precisely. That's how tax stabilization works. And that's why this is a brilliant piece of financial tool that we created many, many years ago. When something comes in under budget, but we've already collected the tax dollars, we take that money and put it into the tax stabilization reserve so that it can be available for future uses. And this is a perfect example of it. So there you go. Well done. Council, if there's nothing further, we have a motion in front of us. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries. Unanimous. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Recreation Department, for all your reports. We're going to move now to the Planning and Building Department. We have the 2025 Building Department Annual Fee Report. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive the report PB 009-2026, the 2025 Building Department Annual Fee Report dated April 27th, 2026 for information. And Mr. Beelan, thank you. Mr. MacArthur, thank you. Is there any comments you'd like to add, Scott? Nice to have you here. Welcome.
There we go. Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, just to clarify that this is an annual report that the Building Department is statutorily required to bring forward for Council's information. The report shows what we had anticipated for last year, which was a deficit, and that the deficit was funded from our reserves. Our reserves, right, gap there. From our reserves, and leaves us with a reserve balance of just over $1.4 million. And that's what the reserve has essentially been established for, is we put money in on years where we have a surplus, and for those years where we have a deficit, then we draw from the reserve.
All right.
Entertain any
Thank you very
questions.
much. Are there any questions to Scott or Derek from the department? Yes. Go ahead, Paul.
I just want to make a comment, Scott, and I sort of echoed it to you earlier for the public to understand. This is why, there was a few people concerned a few years ago when the reserves got so high, but now in 2024 and 2025, we saw a deficit of just shy of $700,000. So now's the time we need it, and now's the time we have it. And if everything starts to improve, which we hope it will at the end of this year or later this year, hopefully things turn the other way, but we're well positioned to handle the downturn in the economy.
Well, we're all hopeful there'll be an upturn in the economy, but thank you. Good points. Any other questions from members? All right, thank you. I'll call the motion. All those in favor? All right, that carries unanimous. Next item is also a building department. This is the activities report, which is very interesting to read. The recommendation is, be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 010-2026, the building department activities report for January to March 2026, dated April the 27th, 2026, for information. Councillor Denis, thank you. Councillor Deputy Mayor, yes, thank you. All right, and Scott, what would you like to say about your activities report?
Again, thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to highlight that we are actually a little ahead of last year in terms of building permit revenue, number of permits, and construction value. And as well, from a training perspective, one of the focuses that we have this year is highlighted in the report, and that is dealing with updated training in terms of farm buildings. It's a goal for the department for all staff to have updated training on that. There has been some significant changes to the building code in relation to farm buildings, and so we've already had 3 staff complete that training, and we have another staff member that'll do that later this fall. As well, it just highlights the septic reinspection program, and I just want to highlight the success of that program. We just finished our last cycle of it, and so probably we won't start that again for another 1.5 to 2 years when we start our next cycle. But one of the things that we found is sort of the success of the previous cycles, in having been out to properties previously, highlighting minor issues with the septic systems, that identified minor repairs that the property owners could undertake, and that, leads to the extension of the life of the septic system. And so on a big part, the success really sits with the residents that have participated and cooperated and done the necessary repairs to make those systems functional.
Excellent. And to help keep people healthy and safe with proper septic systems. Good job. 96 residential builds, I think it was. Is that right? 96 or 94? Something like that?
Residential permits, yes.
Permits, yeah, residential permits were issued. And then a total of some 246 permit activities were done by the whole department? For last, is that right?
In terms of the septics?
Yeah, in terms of the whole season, yeah.
Yeah.
346, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. All right, thank you very much. Members of council, do you have any questions to Scott? Yes, go ahead.
Scott, just for comparison, or do you ever talk to our neighboring communities as far as their permit counts or their values for comparisons? Like it's sort of, we talked earlier about, we seem to be on the rebound a bit, we'll say, but do we know how the other communities around us are doing?
Yeah, I would, so again, through your worship, we meet on typically a monthly basis as building inspectors here in Simcoe County, but we also meet monthly as chief building officials through a separate committee. And so, we do have that dialogue about what's occurring throughout the county. And, everyone is seeing a very similar trend to the previous year. My hope was that our numbers for the first quarter would be in par with our last quarter last year. In fact, we're ahead. So I don't think that's actually what everyone is experiencing from what I'm hearing. But that is our reality right here in Clearview.
Thank you.
Councillor Deneen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Scott. I like the January and February. It looks like people are being hopeful that the winter would finally go away. And then March, it kind of looks like, maybe it's not going fast enough. Just a question, the residential builds, do those include accessory dwellings?
They would. It's breaking it down into a building class, so it's residential. So the residential could be a new dwelling, it could be a residential addition, renovation, that sort of thing. It's breaking it into a sort of a classification.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Other members of council, any further? All right. Thank you very much, Scott, for this report.
Thank you.
Council, we have a mover and seconder, and I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Scott, you have one further report here, the Delegated and Other Planning Act Approvals Summary. So recommendation is, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 011-2026, Delegated and Other Planning Act Approvals Summary for February, March, and April 2026, dated April the 27th, 2026, and it's for information. Moved by Councillor Walker, Councillor Broderick, thank you. And anything you want to add, Scott, or he's already disappeared? Or Derek, you got that one. Where did Scott go? Did he already leave? Oh, sorry.
He's hiding in the
Just
back.
FYI, I've got my other glasses on, so I didn't even see you back there. So I did see Jeff show up, though. Hi, Jeff. How are you? Go ahead, Derek.
Thank you, Your Worship. No, this is just the Planning Department's Delegated and Other Planning Act Approvals Report. I'm happy to say this is Cameron's first report. He's our new Planning and Development Technician, so kudos to Cameron on his first report. We've moved these to quarterly reports. That's why it's a summary of 3 months. We were just finding that sometimes month over month, there may not be any activity, so we've just moved it to quarterly reports. But I'm happy to answer any questions about any of the approvals that staff made, council does.
All right, thank you very much. I'm comfortable with quarterly reports on this item, so that's great. Members of council, do you have any questions to Derek or any concerns on the report? All right. Seeing none? All right, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That also carries unanimous. Thank you so much. Okay, more from the planning department, though. We have the Creemore Commons Tribute Zoning Bylaw Amendment, minor red line draft plan subdivision. There's a recommendation here Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive Report PB 012-2026 to Creemore Commons Tribute, zoning bylaw amendment and minor red line draft plan of subdivision dated April the 27th, 2026. Item 1, the council grant a minor red line revision to draft plan approval for Tribute Creemore Limited, draft plan of subdivision 51MX, prepared by Celeste Phillips, dated April 17, 2024, and revised January 15, 2026. It's attached as Appendix F. And item 2, that council considers the proposed minor red line revision for the draft plan approval of Tribute Creemore Limited, minor in nature, as the changes constitute a reduction in the total number of units proposed, and therefore no notice under Section 51-45 of the Planning Act is required. And item 3, that council considers the proposed changes minor to zoning bylaw 26029 attached as Appendix E, and is satisfied that the public meeting held on June 28, 2023 fulfills the requirement of the Planning Act that no further public meeting is required. And item 4, that a zoning bylaw 2629 for the Tribute Creemore Limited subdivision be presented for council for approval at the April 27th, 2026 council meeting. Mr. MacArthur? Thank you. Mr. Broderick? Thank you. Okay, Derek, is there anything you'd like to add to this report? It is very detailed. There's a lot of appendixes to go through. And I'm kind of pleased to see this very fulsome report with a lot of information on it. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. I think he's summarized it pretty well in the draft recommendation. So it is an amending zoning bylaw to a previously approved zoning bylaw amendment and draft plan of subdivision in Creemore, the Tribute communities. So the amending zoning bylaw primarily adjusts some of the minimum lot frontages, minimum lot areas, and lot coverages in an effort to permit a broader range of single detached dwellings. The red line revision replaces a townhouse block that was in the southern portion of the original draft plan of subdivision, has now been converted to single detached dwellings. So instead of 68 townhouse units, it'll now be 47 single detached dwellings. So it's only a reduction of 21 units across the whole subdivision, totaling 474 units, still within that draft plan of subdivision. And I'm available if there's any questions. The report is quite detailed in terms of the changes that are proposed, but if there's any additional questions, I'm happy to help.
I'd like to start off with a question I have, and that's, I appreciate the reduction in the number of units. I understand what they're doing, and I think that their redesign kind of suits and reflects a little bit about what the community of Creemore looks like. So I tend to agree with that. The part that I am still concerned about is the narrow lots, and then the percentage of coverage of the lot by the home that's going to be built on that lot. Particularly in the case of driveways and snow storage and snow removal for those properties. And so can you comment on that, or perhaps even our public works staff who are there right beside you could comment on how we can be assured that when we get some of those amazing snowfalls like we had this past winter, that a resident who purchases a home there will not be motivated to put that snow on the street because they simply don't have the space on their own property to host that snow from their driveway. Derek, do you have any thought on that?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll speak from a planning perspective. I won't touch the engineering perspective. My counterparts can touch on that if they want, but I've seen it in past experiences where we've increased lot coverage and then also increased the maximum size of driveway widths. We feel that just based on our analysis from a planning perspective and through detailed design that we can accommodate the snow events that do happen. We recognize that smaller lots and smaller driveways, smaller frontages do pose a bit of a challenge, but we're confident that this has been tested in other parts of Ontario. And mind you, it's probably only a 2 or 3 month kind of hiccup, but that's the one thing to keep into consideration. It shouldn't necessarily make a decision based on a 2 or 3 month kind of sample size. For 8 or 9 months of the year, the process will work. But I don't know if Dan wants to speak further, if his team has experienced any challenges in other subdivisions, or if he's experienced that in other parts of Ontario. But from a planning perspective, we're confident that it works.
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying. Dan, do you have any thought on private snow removal and a larger driveway, smaller lot coverage, on how we can work with a future property owner who would be facing that problem?
Thank you, Your Worship, and, I think the trend in the province is pushing toward intensification and narrowing these properties to make them smaller, to make them fit the economy that we're in. Snow removal, I'll say not snow removal, but the narrowing of streets, I think, is what we've experienced the last couple of winters with extreme snowfall amounts. That's really where we're at with snow removal, say, at this point, is that not necessarily that we're getting rid of it, but the streets are becoming narrower and narrower as there's less and less room to put the snow. When you do get multiple driveways in a row where you're intensifying developments, it becomes more challenging in those subdivisions. And I have experienced it in my past life in Essa Township, where the subdivisions are built and everything's just closer. There is ways to deal with that. It comes with more equipment, snow removal equipment. So taking the snow away from the subdivision is one way to do that. Historically, though, I think we're on trends. So hopefully this excessive snow amount trend that we've been on the last couple of years doesn't last, and we go back into a more moderate winter, and this problem doesn't come up.
All right, I appreciate your answer as well, Dan. I only bring this up, gentlemen, because it's, from my desk and my telephone, I get a lot of calls about snow removal. And then in the spring, of course, get a lot of calls about potholes. Apparently, we're the only community that has potholes in it. There's other places that don't have any, but anyway. The point that I wanted to share, though, is that, as neighborhoods develop and people who move into these type of neighborhoods, the neighborly thing to do is to cooperate and work together to find a better way to store your snow. And we would hope that people understand that, when you choose to live in a place like that, you are going to be facing snow, and it will come. And so, Derek, to your point about, not making a decision, a rash decision over a 2-month period, I frankly would counter that by pointing out that we don't let people build in floodplains because it's only going to flood for 2 or 3 weeks a year. So I think that we need to make sure that we have a better understanding, and I would hope that the builder and the developer work with their community to try to develop how that's going to work. Whether there is, a parcel of land that's left sort of to the municipality at the end of the street that people could move snow to that, or something like that, that could be used as a spot to dump snow or move snow to, something like that. I've seen it happen, and it's going to happen again as these subdivisions get tighter and tighter, and these snow events become, frankly, really expensive for a municipality like ours. They cost us a lot of money to move snow around, and so that's why it's of my attention. So thanks very much, and I know it's not something you or I or any of this council is going to be able to solve here tonight. I just think that it's a point that we have to always discuss with developers right now as they make changes to their zoning and changes to their subdivisions, and how we have to think of how the environment will impact those communities when they're built. At this point, I'll open the floor to questions. I see Paul's got his card up first, and then Marty. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Derek, we've talked about this plan before and it sort of caught me off guard originally when we were approving 9-meter wide lots, freestanding houses, and it scared me. And of course, the province now has initiated a lot of the programs to even potentially make them smaller. And we like to remind people, especially down at Queen's Park or in the southern neighbors, there is life north of Highway 9, and we have a lot more snow than they sure as heck have down there. Now, this year, one of our biggest problems, so everybody's aware that the county offloaded or got taken away the recycling from our initiatives, and the producers have now taken it over. One of the biggest complaints, example, Wasaga Beach received this year was not from the snow that was so, built up, and it was dealing with the garbage. It was dealing with the garbage bins, the recycling bins, where to place them, where they were getting knocked over by plows and everything. So I'll just piggyback onto the mayor's comment. It's not just the snow, it's the other things we have to deal with. So just keep it in mind. Like give your cohorts in Wasaga a call this summer and say, how do you feel about garbage and snow? Man, it was a mess down there. So anyways, we're building new, so we won't have the narrow streets that they have in Wasaga in some cases, but it's definitely a concern, the garbage pickup. So thank you.
And people parking on those streets too, right next to them. Oh, that's crazy. Paul, or sorry, had a card here from Marty first, and then, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering, what do they mean by permit a two-car driveway? How long is that they permit? Because I know we were talking before that you can't count the sidewalk, and some cars are longer than others. Like, is that 20 feet, or how long is a two-car driveway?
Through your worship, I believe typically a parking space is 5.5 meters in length. That's the typical parking space. I think they advertise it, and I'll put in quotations, a two-car driveway if it doesn't have the sidewalk there. I know technically they don't count that space that would technically be in the township's right-of-way as a parking space, but people do utilize that as parking within their driveway.
So are they looking to park them one behind the other or side by side?
They'd be in tandem. So
Okay.
one in front of the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And drive in, back out. Okay, Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when I seen this on the agenda. We were cleaning the house on the weekend, and I found a paper from 2007. And the first thing caught me was a picture of my dad with his horses, but at the top was 2007 council meeting was overshadowed by an OMB hearing regarding this same subdivision. So 19 years ago, we were at the OMB, the township was, and here we are still fighting to this day. So, and I don't know how many years it started before that. So hopefully we're getting closer and closer each year. So just checking, yeah, so they haven't proposed the 8-meter lots yet, eh? They're sticking with their 9 for singles in this new, where they're taking away the townhouses?
Through your worship to Councillor MacArthur, the smallest lot size that they're proposing is 9.8 meters.
9.8, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, thank you. You have to get rid of the newspapers. You should see them at my house. It's crazy. Anybody else got any questions or comments? Mr. Walker, please.
The only thing I was going to say, Your Worship, was to back up on your comments that the bigger the homes, chances are the more cars are going to be in the driveway. And you're going to have more families living together. So all of a sudden, our 2-car driveway needs to be for 4 cars. And if we've got small lots and stuff, I think we really need to look at the size of the homes. The bigger the homes, the driveway's got to match the potential for the number that can live in that home. I mean, you get mom and dad and 3 teenage kids and all have cars, and you got a 2-car driveway, there's 5. Now, you've also got multi-generations living together because that's the way it is right now. So I really feel that we have to really look at the size of the homes and the size of the driveways, or we're going to be, as Dan mentioned, we're going to be all parked all over our streets, and then it's going to have a major effect on snow removal as well as safety for those that live on the streets. So I think we really need to address that as well.
It's going to be fun. It's interesting, I was just thinking as you were saying that, Councilor MacArthur just mentioned this 19 years. That's very typical. It's a 20 to 25-year process to go from discussion to actually opening a house. Like that's sort of the 25-year window is how long it takes in our part of the world. You know, in the city of Toronto, they can move things around a lot faster. But this is how it works here in rural Ontario. It takes about that long, so. Okay, thank you very much. Is there anything else? No, nothing further. Thank you, Derek, and good luck with this. I like the fact that it's a small, what's the word here? It's at a minor. It's a minor zoning. Yeah, it's a lot more than minor, but I'll take the wording as it is. Council, we have a mover and seconder on this motion. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That also carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to item 10.2.5. This is the Skydive Clearview lease agreement. Skydive Clearview lease agreement. Just have to say that twice.
Yeah, I'm sorry, in my comments, I said the wrong number. It should have been 2.5 instead of 2.6. So.
Thank you. You're going to go have a seat. Thank you very much. All right, so Mr. MacArthur has recused himself. All right, so here's the recommendation in front of us, and we can go to the CAO, I believe, or others for comments on this, the clerk. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 013 2026, the Skydive Clearview lease agreement at 1585 Klondike Park Road, Clearview, dated April the 27th, 2026. And item 1, that Council approve entering into a lease agreement with Skydive Clearview for the use of Clearview-owned lands at 1585 Klondike Park Road, Clearview, for a parachute landing area. For a 5-year term and annual lease rates as set out in the lease agreement attached as Appendix C. And item 2, that Council authorize staff and legal counsel to make minor amendments to the agreement prior to execution. And item 3, that Council authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the lease agreement on behalf of the municipality. Can I ask for a mover and seconder on the floor? Mr. Walker, thank you. And Mr. Broderick, thank you so much. So who would like to speak to this? John, would you like to take this, or is it Sasha? It's Derek's report too. I mean, the reason I look around is I know that everybody gets involved in these things. So, Derek, what would you like to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. As Council may recall, and I believe I outlined it in my report, Mr. Farkas, who's here in attendance with his family, and I'll say from Skydive Clearview, formerly Wasaga Beach. He presented a deputation to Council in late February about the proposal for establishing the parachute landing area on the property of 1585 Klondike Park, which Council may be aware is home to, or soon to be home to, the Klondike Park Water Reservoir site. So just to let you guys know, Township staff have been working with Mr. Farkas, the Township's solicitor, and other members of senior management. We have provided a draft copy of the lease agreement to Mr. Farkas, and the terms we feel have been generally agreed upon. Just to note, we did receive some additional information from the county's risk manager with respect to risk management, insurance, and any indemnity-related matters. We've just strengthened some of the language. We haven't had an opportunity to send it over to Mr. Farkas, but we're confident that the language just strengthens the township's position. I don't think it really offends anything that he has to offer, but he is available to speak to anything that may be related more towards his business. I'm not sure if he's able to speak, but any other questions, staff's available to speak as well.
All right, thank you very much, Derek, and thank you to the team for working on this. Any questions from the staff, or from the council here, of the staff? You got one? Go ahead, Paul.
No, I just want to make a comment. We handled this application, Your Worship, while you were away.
Yes.
And we had a very good response from the public. It's a very, from an economic development point of view, especially with the name being changed, we think it's a very strong opportunity for Clearview, and it's a very little impact on our own lands and stuff like that. And the only comment I'll make, their son has agreed to speak on this application. Oh. And so Matt has to speak. Where did he go? Where is he? Where did he go?
Should we pass the resolution before he speaks?
We'll pass the resolution. We'll pass the resolution, but he has to just say, is it okay if Mom and Dad do this?
Oh, that's all right.
I think it was. Anyways.
That's fine.
Okay. I had him rooked in anyways.
Okay. That's okay.
Okay. Anyways, those are just simple comments.
Thank you very much. All right, members of council, nothing further? Mr. CAO, nothing further? All right. I will make a quick comment. Let me just read it out loud again. It says here, that at 1585 Klondike Park Road, Clearview, for a parachute landing area. I would hope that there's more than parachutes landing. I think that the parachuters and the people who are attached to the parachutes are landing. I do not want the parachutes landing without the people on them. The people need to be attached to the parachutes. Would you agree on that? Thank you. Thank you so much. Members of the council, there's a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. All right. Well, that's great to see more businesses moving here, and all the best and best of luck to this business. Appreciate them. All right. Stainer Secondary Plan Boundary Expansion. Maybe we can call Mr. MacArthur. We got to get him back in here. We need him for this. Mel, if you see Robert out there, can you just send him in? Thanks. Yeah, thanks a lot. All right. Thanks, Robert. Yes, sir.
I would just ask a clarification.
Turn your mic on there.
Sorry, I'd like to ask a clarification from the clerk. In this application, I live at 238 Phillip Street, and we've always been in the town's, we'll call it the main growth area. With their redefinition, part of our property is sort of in that pink area or outside that pink area. I'd like to know if I have a conflict.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
We're in the blue area now, in the urban settlement area, so.
Through your worship to the Deputy Mayor, are you speaking to the Stainer Secondary Plan boundary?
Correct, yes.
I can't provide procedural advice on conflict. That's for the Integrity Commissioner. So it's up to you as a council member to make that decision on your own.
I think just to be on the safe side, I am in the urban settlement area. I am mostly in the built boundary, but if there's ever a question, I think I better recluse myself, Your Worship.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. The role of musical chairs at the council table. All right, council. This is an important resolution. That's why I was giving a bit of a pause to make sure that all of our members were present. This is the Stainer Secondary Plan boundary expansion. I'll read the report. I'll look for a mover and seconder. We'll get a couple of comments from our staff. I have a comment, and then we'll ask for you to have any questions, okay? Recommendation is, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 014-2026, the Stainer Secondary Plan Boundary Expansion, Growth Strategy, and Project Authorization. It's dated April the 27th, 2026. Item 1, the Council directs staff to proceed with the Stainer Secondary Plan Work Plan prepared by GSP Group, Inc. and RJ Burnside and Associates Limited as attached. Item 2, the Council authorize the Chief Administrative Officer to engage with landowners and participating developers within the Stainer Secondary Plan study area to confirm participation, funding contributions, and implement commitments associated with the Stainer Secondary Plan process. Item 3, the Council reaffirm its direction to explore a settlement area boundary expansion for Stainer through a comprehensive planning process consistent with the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, the County of Simcoe Planning Framework, and the Township's Development Charge Prepayment Agreement. And item 4, that the staff report back to Council following completion of Phase 1, with the lands being assessed, refined study area analysis, preliminary servicing assumptions, and an updated implementation plan. All right, is there a mover and seconder? Mr. Broderick is on it. Is there a seconder, please? Mr. MacArthur, thank you very much. All right, we'll start off with Mr. CAO. You're mentioned in the motion, so I'll leave it to you to lead off comments on this.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as council is aware, we have three agreements that we signed with developers leading to the starting of our infrastructure project. And in those agreements, the developers were concerned about the number of homes that they could build and the high cost of infrastructure, and sought us to expand our settlement boundary area. So we agreed in our agreements that we would work towards expanding our settlement boundary areas. And the big critical issue for this township is until the settlement boundary area is expanded, the developers don't have to pay their money for the infrastructure until that time period. So it's an economic issue for the township to move towards expanding the settlement boundaries as soon as possible. Conducting all this work is important, but it's also important that we pay for this project. So it's a call for an urgent process to get on this and get moving on this as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ferguson. Are there other staff members who have comments? I'm not sure. Derek, would you like to add anything to this? You've got some experience with boundaries in your previous work. So what's your comment on this?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I will note, you did notice that Jeff Langlois from Burnside Engineering is here in attendance. We have engaged with GSP Group. And I believe Steve Weaver and Patrick Casey, one of the two is on the line. I think Steve had a previous engagement. They're both online? Okay, perfect. Steve
okay.
did
Hi,
prepare.
gentlemen. I didn't know you were there. Nice to see you. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, so Steve has prepared a brief presentation just to kind of explain the work plan, process, and next steps. And Jeff's also here in attendance for any questions. Myself and John and Dan are also available as well if council has any questions. But I'll turn it over to Steve just for a few minutes, and then we can open the floor for discussion.
All right. Thank you very much. Glad to have you on board here, Steve. It's a big project, so it'd be great to have you review this for members of council as well as members of the public. So go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Mayor Measures. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're good to go.
Perfect. So thank you for putting the slides on screen, and you can go to the next slide. So there is a background to this project, which is summarized in the staff report and our memorandum attached to that report. Council may recall when we were doing the overall official plan process and preparing the township's new official plan, there was some discussion around potential settlement area boundary changes at that time. A number of landowners attended the various consultations that we had with some interest in that, particularly for the Stayner area. And given the urgency of getting the new document in place and trying to have the new policy framework ready, and some of the complications at that time with the changing provincial and county planning frameworks as it relates to urban boundary matters, it was determined that and turned out to be a good decision to phase the official plan process, with the second phase being a review specifically of the Stayner urban area boundary. And we've called that a secondary plan. It's also been called elsewhere a master community plan, but secondary plan is a pretty common term for describing a more detailed community or area specific land use servicing and transportation plan. And that's what this would be for Stayner specifically. Not only for Stayner, the existing community, but as mentioned by John, recognizing the importance of putting the long-term urban growth boundary in the right spot. And that's what this process would be designed to do. Ultimately, it would ensure that as you are embarking on your significant infrastructure upgrades and investments, that those are well aligned with the phasing and timing of development, that they're aligned with other area-specific studies in terms of the natural environment, servicing not only from the perspective of how we get that water to the new development areas, but also wastewater, stormwater, transportation. And then there are a few other policy areas that are required to be addressed for settlement area boundary changes as well, including matters of cultural heritage, land use compatibility, community design, and avoiding agricultural impacts. Secondary plans are ultimately implemented as area-specific amendments to the official plan. So at the end of this process, there would be a recommendation to update, amend your official plan with the Stayner secondary plan. And next slide, please. The overall purpose and goals, which are outlined in the official plan and generally for secondary plans, but specifically for Stainer, as I mentioned, the intent is to define a long-term growth boundary for Stainer, addressing the land needs for growth and leveraging that new water supply capacity that you will have. It's also ensuring, as I mentioned, orderly growth and development. So that you have development occurring in the right sequence as infrastructure comes online to create efficiencies, mitigate construction impacts, and ensure that you have complete community development. This is tying together all the components of land use planning, infrastructure, and transportation, while also respecting the natural heritage system and updating the mapping of that. Where it gets more detailed than an official plan generally is identifying possible locations for future parks, recreation and community facilities, schools, and stormwater ponds. Cultural heritage conservation, as I mentioned, is an important component of this. So we would look at the study area to determine whether there are significant heritage resources, buildings, and landscapes that might need some review and impact analysis or even conservation. And as I mentioned, as the land that would be added to the urban area or studied for that is primarily used for agriculture today, there are some requirements to study the impacts on agriculture related to any urban boundary expansion. And next slide, please. So it's really a three-step process that we've outlined here. I've put very high-level general timing there, but recognizing the critical nature of the project, we will work very closely with the township to ensure this moves along at a reasonable pace and that it's implemented in a timely way to recognize that there is an important tie-in with your infrastructure funding. But generally, the three steps are as follows. One, we start with some background review and looking at the mapping of the study area. The needs for future growth and development, how much land is required in Stainer to allow for 20, 30, 40 plus years of growth. Assessing that study area through technical studies involving natural heritage, transportation, water, wastewater servicing, cultural heritage, and agricultural impact analysis through the second phase, and then ultimately developing options, reviewing and evaluating those options so that a final secondary plan and official plan amendment can be developed in the final stage. It is, as staff outlined in their report, about a 24-month process, but there are components of it that could potentially be implemented sooner than that. The overall process will involve extensive public notice in each phase. There will be opportunities for community input to the overall vision for Stainer, to specific landowner interests, and we'll also be in touch with technical commenting agencies, departmental staff, and other related organizations with interest in the process. If you go to the next slide. Just to quickly touch on the study area, and I know this is an attachment to the staff report and you've seen this map before. In your current official plan, a 1 kilometer boundary was roughly drawn around the existing Stainer urban area. This is the area under the policies of your new official plan is being protected in terms of ensuring that nothing happens in that area that would preclude the efficient future expansion of Stainer. That line doesn't necessarily mean that all of that land would be added to the Stainer urban area, but that's the area that the study would focus on to determine where that logical long-term boundary should be, considering things like environmental constraints and if there are livestock barns and separation distances, agricultural impacts, serviceability of the land and transportation and access. So a whole range of factors that need to really be looked at in detail for all of the land within that study area to determine where that boundary should go. And then secondly, in what order should that boundary be grown outwards to address the grow lands and the other opportunities for accommodating growth and development in that expanded area. And if you go to the next slide. So we've assembled a multidisciplinary team to tackle all the specializations required for this study between ourselves and Jeff's team at Burnside. GSP would focus on providing the land use planning, community design elements, overall project management and consultation, as well as developing the policies for the secondary plan and the related mapping, and ensuring that the Planning Act process is addressed. While Burnside will undertake much of the technical study work, including the water, wastewater, and stormwater strategies for the area, the transportation engineering in terms of any road upgrades and assessment of options, and updating the mapping and policies for natural heritage. The Environmental Assessment Act process will be addressed in and integrated with the Planning Act process. And what that does is it sets you up for success in future implementation of further infrastructure needs, such as trunk, sewer, and water. If there's additional pipes needed for the development area, as well as things like road upgrades and new roadways. There are some other topic-specific specialists that we will need to bring in that have been accounted for in our schedule and budget. And those include specialists to do some traffic counts to ensure that we have a solid understanding of the existing conditions, as well as archaeologists and cultural heritage specialists to review whether there are resources needing protection. And next slide, please. So these specific team members are identified on the slide there. You know Patrick and I from the official plan process. Evan on our team did the mapping and design. Jeff has a large team behind him that will provide all the engineering topic-based specializations, transportation, water, wastewater, environmental, stormwater, and ecology. And as I mentioned, there are a couple of other specialists there. So we've identified the lead roles who you are most likely to see through the consultation process. But there are some other individuals on our teams as well that will help in the background. And next slide. So that's a brief overview just to give you an introduction of what this is all about. Happy to take any questions should you have any at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. That was very much welcome. Good information. Derek, do you have anything else you want to add at this time?
Thank you, Worship. Nothing further. Just like Steve and I said, we're here to answer any questions that council may have.
All right, and Jeff is here as well. So
And
thank you, Jeff. If we need you to step up, we'll just bring you to the mic. Now, council, do you have any questions to the report so far? Any comments? Yes, Mr. MacArthur first.
Yeah, I'm not sure who wants to answer this, Your Worship. Just when it comes to the Simcoe County planning being rearranged and it said based on township readiness, how close is our township? Are we more ready to take over their responsibilities, or just where is that in the process? I know it's pretty new, but.
It's very new. Derek.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to Councillor MacArthur. I think that's still yet to be determined at this point. I think the readiness factor certainly applies to Bradford, Innisfil, and New Tecumseth, as I believe they were already well underway for growth management strategy exercises. But Simcoe County is still our approval authority for now until those changes to the Planning Act are finalized. But in terms of readiness, we could certainly make a case that we are one of those municipalities that's ready to have an approval authority. The province would still remain our approval authority. We wouldn't get the same responsibilities as those three municipalities I mentioned in the south. They've been kind of given priority, if that helps.
Okay, and second question mentioned of agricultural impact studies. Can you give a brief outline of what that involves?
Sure, thank you, Worship.
Sure.
Through you to Councillor MacArthur, I'll have either Steve or Jeff speak to that.
Steve, would you like to speak to the agricultural impact study that you're proposing for the focus area?
Certainly, through the mayor to the councillor. The agricultural impact assessment is a requirement under the provincial planning statement for any urban boundary expansion. Specifically, it's required where an urban boundary is proposed to be extended into what's called a prime agricultural area, which is the majority of your non-urban land in Clearview is prime agricultural, including much of the land around Stayner. What that looks at is primarily where there are existing livestock facilities and manure storage facilities. There's minimum distance separation requirements associated with those. And the separation distance is double from an urban area than it is from other rural residential and uses you might already see out there in the landscape. One of the requirements of the provincial planning statement is that we do MDS calculations for any barns that could potentially be impacted by an urban boundary expansion and ensure that we avoid or mitigate those effects to the extent that we can. Another component of it is looking at the soil classification. So the Canada Land Inventory, class 1, 2, and 3 is prime agricultural. The provincial planning statement would prefer or directs that municipalities prioritize expanding into non-prime land where possible. But where it is all prime land, we have to look at those land classifications to determine if some of the land is lower capability for agriculture than other, and if possible, try to orient the urban expansion towards the lower priority land. And then finally, there is a component of looking at the level of agricultural investment in the land. So how much has been put into things like irrigation and other farm infrastructure, such as agricultural dealerships or other things that, if removed, would have a broader agricultural impact or not only limit the land base of the farm that they currently support for future farming, but potentially have broader impacts to the agricultural area generally. And again, the test is to ensure that those have been studied, that they are understood, and that we are finding ways to avoid or mitigate those impacts. And we won't really know exactly what that looks like until we've done that assessment to determine how much of a constraint or opportunity that is on the study area around Stayner. But that is one component that's required as part of this process. So I hope that helps, but we would certainly have more details as we move along on what we find in that specific assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Robert? That's good information. And in my opinion, yeah, there is definitely around Stayner, there's highs and lows when it comes to prime and not so prime. I'm not sure the classifications either, but like I say, the land map will show that. You mentioned, if I can go one more, the agricultural establishments. So how much consideration is given to developing a new industrial lands within this expansion?
Derek, is that for you or for Steve? Also for Steve? Yeah, go ahead. Industrial.
Yes, thank you for the question, and through the mayor to the councillor. With this process, we want to look at all urban land needs. So in the spirit of ensuring that we're planning for a complete community with a mix of jobs and housing and commercial services and amenities, and also a balanced tax assessment base, we will be ensuring that we review not only the land needs for housing to accommodate population growth, but also for jobs and how many of those jobs will require an employment land base, industrial type land use versus those that may be accommodated through what they call population related employment, but that relates to health services, commercial services and retail and those sorts of jobs. So definitely to answer your question, yes, we will be looking carefully at employment and industrial land needs as part of this analysis.
Thank you very much, Robert. Good questions and good line of questioning. Thank you, Steve, for your answers. That's great. Other members of council, give me the opportunity to speak and then, no, we're comfortable? All right. I want to thank you for your report, Derek and John Ferguson. And this is something we've been working on for a while. This council passed a resolution some months ago that identified that we had settlement boundary intention. And we made that quite public at the time. And it is it's mentioned in this report a couple of times actually. And I'm glad that it's there. I think what needs to be stated is that the process here of expanding our municipality borders, or sorry, our settlement boundary borders in Stayner, is something that we need to do in the fact that it will bring information to people that this is identified as areas that we will be expanding to in the future. Certainly, we can sit here in the coffee shop or, have a conversation with anybody, and you can talk to them about the fact that, oh yeah, when that expands, or when we grow out, or the town's growing like crazy. And, the reality is that this is something that was thought about some 30 years ago. So I want you to consider that the Cubitt Farm, which currently has a Foodland and a McDonald's and a liquor store and a long-term care facility and a whole bunch of housing, that farm, it was 33 years ago that it was brought into the settlement area of Stayner. 33 years. So that's a long time. That's right at the same time when this township was created, by the way. So that's what it takes. It takes, the development community who are purchasing these type of properties. They have to figure out when they're going to, pull the trigger on a project or start something. We also have to look at the market that's happening in both locally, regionally, nationally, and globally as to whether or not it's a viable thing to do. So certainly in Ontario, we've all heard about the fact that there is an absolute need for housing. There are more and more and more people in our community that just do not have housing. Now, the word affordable housing comes up all the time. The County of Simcoe is working diligently, believe me, on affordable housing options. We are finding every opportunity to find affordable housing options and homelessness options and these type of things. We're building one of the most amazing facilities on Rose Street in Barrie, and it will be, one of many that will be needed in the next 30 years across Simcoe County. What we're looking at here is to make a logical step to move the settlement boundary of Stayner to accommodate more growth, more homes being built. And as was mentioned in Steve's comments right there at the end about industrial or small commercial operation, jobs, these type of things will happen. There's a lot of steps to get there. There's obviously a transportation plan needs to be done, a master servicing plan, which you've heard it mentioned as the MSP, that needs to be done. And all these features, the fire department will be changing their sort of plan for how they can respond. Our bus service will change, our water and sewer services will change, our public works department will change as far as what roads get plowed when, et cetera, and so on. So we have to lay that out now so that in the future legislators that are responsible for this community will have the ability to make some decisions that we're making today. So earlier in the meeting, we talked about the tribute project going on down in Creemore. And Mr. Walker and I were eyeing each other and commenting that it might have been as early as 2004 when that was first proposed, when Mr. Alex Troop brought that project into our township office. And, I joined this council in 2006, and I certainly recall the long debates we had in 2007 about that project. But the reality is, part of it's getting built, and we've now entered into an agreement, we're going to, with a signature of the clerk and myself, to move that project a little further down the road, a little closer to being done. So this is a process that goes on in municipalities. So us extending our settlement boundary of Stayner should not be a big alarm to anyone. In fact, it should be something that we all expect. It will happen. The boundaries of our communities will expand. There will come a time when Ottawa, for instance, may need to be expanded. There will come a time when New Lowell may be expanded. In fact, there's a developer in New Lowell that hasn't appeared in front of us in a long time, but he's got a wild project to build a whole nother community right adjacent to New Lowell. I don't know if it's ever going to come out, but we'll see if he brings that forward. So there's lots of plans, and these developers who have the leverage power to find financing and move these projects forward are around us, and we have to work with them to try to mitigate the impact to our community as well as to find the best option possible to support our community goals and objectives. Right now, our recreational facilities are maxed out. You've heard about our recreational facilities having booking problems on the ice rinks because of so many users that want to use it. There will be a time when there will be more recreational facilities being built in our community, large facilities like what we're seeing. They'll come. The challenge here is that we have to balance when they all happen. This move by this council passing this resolution tonight puts it clearly underway that the settlement boundary of Stayner will expand and will be accepted and promoted by the province and the county of Simcoe they'll hear about it from us. And we fully expect that they'll approve it because it meets all of the objectives of the province of Ontario when it comes to their housing plans. So I expect, or I would hope that council will understand that this is a very important step. It's a simple motion with a couple of good highlights. There's a big project that Steve and GSP and Burnside are going to be undertaking. There's going to be many opportunities for public engagement. Just on the budget plan, I saw there's at least 2 PICs on each of the categories, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to hear from the public. But I think the point needs to be clear that we will be setting the new settlement boundary for the town of Stayner and how it, as a settlement area, works with Clearview Township. My last point, I'd like to ask the clerk if she could bring up the slide from the presentation. Steve, it's actually that last slide that you put up with the map, and she can put it up on the screen here so we can all see it a little better. So, yeah, I think that's it right there. Okay, so can you move the mouse on the screen on that, or is that, yes, you can. Can you go to the corner of Mowat Street and 2728 Side Road, which is up there at the top? Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, it's just that if you can picture right there where that's the intersection right there, where the blue meets the pink, that's Mowat Street and the 2728 Side Road, which is actually a county road right now. So the boundary is going to, if this passes, it will go east from Mowat Street right over to County Road 7, and then it'll go south on County Road 7 and meet up with the current boundary. So the pink, white, and pink properties are going to come into the town of Stayner. If you move down the map a little further, all right, now let's go to south of Highway 26 right there, just about where Sunnydale Street is. Councillor Walker, I think that's right about where Sunnydale is. That will go south on Centerline Road, right down to what we locals like to call the Hoffman Side Road. And then it'll go westbound across the Hoffman all the way over to County Road 42, Local Airport Road. And then it'll come back up into the town of Stayner, basically about where the hydro lines cross. I think it's about where that is. So if you picture that section right there, and this section at the north will be blue, that'll be the settlement area boundaries of Stayner. So if you could zoom out just a little bit, please, just to give people a better feeling for where we are. So looking at it right now, that blue area you see on the screen, that is the settlement area that was established in 93, 94. I haven't found the exact date, but I know it was in that neighborhood. With one small addition that happened, which is above where the arena is right there. That developer and council of the day brought in a corner in there too. So just picture the pink, white, pink, and then down below there on the south, all that white and pink in there will all be blue, and that'll be the settlement area of Stayner. So I just want the public to fully understand what we're talking about here and why we need to make this decision today. And we've already made a decision. We've already posted this and made this decision as to why we want to do this. Now we're making a more formal statement by starting these processes of the public engagement and the survey work and all the MSP work and so on that needs to be done. So thank you, Madam Clerk, for putting that on the screen. And I implore council to understand this is a decision that'll last for 30 to 60 to maybe 90 years, maybe longer, who knows. All right, these are the type of decisions you get to make sometimes when you're a council. So members of council, do you have anything further you want to add? Nothing further? We have a mover and seconder, Madam Clerk? I would like to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. Boy, that was a lot of talking, and I definitely need a drink of water. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for your help with that, Sasha. That was great. Okay. Okay, over to, where are we looking at here now? We've got the administration department. So we've got a report from the CAO regarding the Gowan Park baseball dugouts project. Okay. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report CAO 007-2026, the Gowan Park baseball dugouts project dated April the 27th, 2026. Item 1, the council approve adding a ground level dugout project to the trustee lease agreement with 737-494476 Ontario Inc. We know it as the Mountain Ridge Custom Homes Incorporated as phase 2 of the Creemore Bleachers project, with the project being completely funded through community donations. And item 2, that council approve phase 2 to be initiated either in the fall of 2026 after baseball season or in the early spring of 2027, weather permitting, before the baseball season. Okay, Mr. MacArthur, would you like to move that? Thank you. And look to Mr., how about Councillor Deneen? You're a good baseball fan, aren't you? Go Blue Jays. Councillor Deneen to be the seconder. Mr. CAO, do you have anything you want to add to your report?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just the report speaks for itself. What I'd like to say is that in speaking with the company owner that is doing this donation, he had said that he would either like to do the bleachers in October, at the end of October, or in early spring of 2027. I'm not sure if he had another conversation with the Director of Parks and Rec, okay? And so I'm comfortable with that being the motion. And we do have the lease and construction agreement finalized. We do want to send it out to the property owner first before we bring it back. That was finalized on Friday. We haven't sent it out yet. We were hoping to maybe have it on the agenda today, but not enough time. So we will circulate that. I'm sure they want to get working on the bleachers as soon as possible, and that agreement is very important to have in place. So.
Okay. So to summarize, you're going to circulate the agreement to members of council, so we have it ahead of time?
You'll have it ahead of time, and so will the owner of Mountain Ridge Homes.
Perfect.
And the idea behind it is to get his review of it, and then we'll bring it to council and vote on it at that time.
100%. Thank you. Members of council, any questions? Yes, Mr. Broderick, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Under financial implications, that makes me want to talk to Kelly. Can you expand on that a little bit?
All right. Kelly and John?
If you'd like to take it first so I can pull it up.
Okay, so the bleacher project is forecasted to cost approximately $125,000. There's several community donations that will be coming to the township. How we have to do it in order to give them a tax receipt is that we have to pay for their product first, and then they will reimburse the money with the tax receipt. That's on the bleacher project. The idea is to cover the donations through that process. On the dugouts, it's anticipated to cost $100,000. They are responsible for the total cost. Same process. If there's money being paid to the project that requires a receipt from us, it would require us to pay it and be reimbursed the full amount to issue that tax receipt.
Thank you, Mr. Broderick. All good. Other members? I think it was Mr. Walker next. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Is there an opportunity for council at the end for approval of the engineering documents and the design of the dugouts? It's not mentioned here, and I'm just wondering, does council have another, upon approval of council for the engineering design and the drawings of the new dugouts, like what type are they? How are they going to be built? Are they going to require services? I think of water. Sometimes they put in dugouts, so some of that there. Like, you know, we don't have anything here to see design. We don't have anything here on engineering. So to me, we need to put something in there to control that so that we have, as council, have an idea of what is being built when it is to be built.
Good question. Mr. Ferguson, go ahead.
Through your worship, a great question. Where this is not really to be implemented until October. So in the agreement that we had drawn up, we weren't sure if council was going to approve the dugouts as a part of that arrangement. So any other condition we can add to that. I've not discussed in great detail, other than the fact I know it's not going to be a dugout. It's going to be on level ground, so to speak. And with that, a design will have to be created and be a part of that process. So we can adjust the agreement leading into council's future approval of it in perhaps 2 weeks' time or in a week's time. We may have to call a special meeting in order to meet the timeline to have it done to meet the ball season. So they're into a crunch time now. So I think we can make arrangements for that. We've not discussed that. I put in here that the money is meant to cover the total cost. We've covered the cost of the original design and some other costs. We've also covered the legal cost of the agreements. And that's about as far as we've gone on this. And I'm not sure how much more council will spend on any other types of designs. We've not been asked to do that as of yet. So it'll give us time to talk to the builder exactly how he wants that to come forward and whether council agrees with his process or not, but we have time to give that consideration.
Comfortable? I agree. We'll take a look at that. Other members? Yes, Mr. MacArthur?
I'm just thinking out loud, when this comes to fruition, the first baseball game should be between council and staff and the firemen or something like that. And Mr. Walker, Councillor Walker should be the umpire for that game.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Okay.
Walker is definitely the umpire. There's no doubt. Absolutely. That'd be great to see you with the mask and the chest pad on again, I tell you. It better be slow pitch, exactly. All right. Members of council, if there's nothing further, I want to thank you, Mr. CAO, for working on this, and thank the community for their contributions, that the fundraising effort that's happened to get us thus far. Adding the dugouts, I think, was actually a pretty good, idea at the time. It just creates more complication for us as a municipality, but I think it's worthy for us to consider that, to sort of finish up the park when it's all said and done. And I would expect that our recreation department will probably put some money in the budget to add some new sand or gravel in that space to finish that up. That'll be part of your maintenance. That'll update the whole thing when it's done. So that's great. All right. Council, you've got a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder. I am prepared to call the motion. And those in favor? And that's also a unanimous decision. Thank you. Okay, we're at 10.3.2, and this is HR 002. Clearview Township Multi-Year Accessibility Plan for 2026 through to 2031. Be it resolved, Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive Report HR 002, 2026, Clearview Township Multi-Year Accessibility Plan, and it's dated April the 27th, 2026. Item 1, that Council adopt the Clearview Township Multi-Year Accessibility Plan for 2026 through to 2031, attached as Appendix A to this report. And item 2, that staff be directed to implement the future goals as captured within this plan. Okay, Mr. Walker will be the mover. Mr. Beelan, will you be the seconder? Thank you so much. And Tammy, nice to see you. I know you represent the staff portion of that committee, and Mr. Walker, I believe, sits on the committee with you. So, Tammy, why don't you tell us a little bit about this thing, and perhaps there will be questions from the council.
Thank you, Your Worship. Staff has created an updated multi-year accessibility plan. It's part of the AODA regulations here in Ontario, and it was vetted through our accessibility committee and reviewed, and you'll see the plan captures the good work the committee has done over the last several years and a commitment to any future steps in the next 5 years as well. So it is here for your review and if you wish to adopt it as well.
All right, thank you so much. Members of council, do you have any questions? Mr. Walker, do you want to review for us anything about the accessibility committees that, and how they've discussed any of this?
I just, you go back and if you look at the achievements from 2019 to 2025, you can certainly see how the committee has worked with our various departments of Clearview to move things forward. There is a lot of information there. We have, approved things at the pool with lifts and stairs, arenas. We've, made comments with and helped with the sliding doors. So there's been a lot of things, not only in recreation and sports, but other achievements as well. So yeah, please look at those and review those, and that pretty well speaks for the committee and their dedication to trying to make Clearview as accessible as we possibly can with the funds that we have available to do so.
Excellent. Thank the volunteers for their work for me next time. Thank you. Mr. Deputy Mayor, you have a question?
Thank you, through yourself to Ms. Gill. When I came on, we were very concerned about the provincial policy on AODA, and one of our big initiatives was the upgrading of our community halls. Of course, we don't have the money to do a lot of the stuff, but I look at our own province, who is sitting at Queen's Park with a building that is not compliant as well. So it's interesting when we had the opportunity to go there a couple of years ago, and they've got challenge of their own. Are we being legislated, or can you just talk about the legislation that is pushing us in a lot of our physical requirements? Are we going to have to start doing our other buildings? What, if we don't have the money, what do we do? Are we going to have funding available? If you could talk about that a bit, please.
Thank you. Through your worship, to Deputy Mayor. I think that there has been a lot of work that's been done here in Clearview Township to make many of our facilities accessible, and I would suggest it's an opportunity for us to highlight those that we have been able to adopt and change. I think as the AODA legislation is rolled out, it's focused on different parts of changing our province to be accessible through policy, through adjustments in capital buildings and so on. And I think that for us here in Clearview, although some of our small halls aren't renovated, we have many that have been. And so to assist the public and steer them to halls that could accommodate them, that through the work that we already have completed, I think might be a good approach to take at this time.
Good questions, good point. Other members? Anyone? Yes, Phyllis, thank you. Councilor Janine?
You asked me if I had something, but I just would like to reiterate what Councillor Walker said finally, when financially able.
Of course, when financially able.
When financially able.
We put money aside every year in the budget to support the Accessibility Committee and their programming and their asks, and they also then bring recommendations to support various departments that are having asks for things too. So it's a good relationship.
No,
Thank you for that.
I read page 10.
Yeah.
And it's perfect that way.
Great, thank you. All right, Council, if there's nothing further on this item, thank you, Tammy, for your report. Council, I have a motion in front of me with a mover and seconder. I'll look for the motion. All those in favor? Also carries unanimous. Thank you. Clerk's Department, Bylaw Enforcement, dun dun dun, Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. Bring your own events, updated regulation. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report LS 012-2026. It's CAGCO Bring Your Own Events updated regulation dated April the 27th, 2026 for information. Mover and seconder, please. Mr. Broderick, seconder, Mr. Walker. Thank you very much. Sasha, how are we going to enforce this new law?
Thank you, Worship. Through you to rest of council. As my report states, we're going to remain status quo. Council did kind of go through this exercise in the summer when the Creamore Community Foundation made a request specifically for the Village Green to allow alcohol, bring your own to those types of facilities. At that time, council was not amenable to that request. So that would be the bylaw portion that you would have to pass to even allow the bring your own events. So it's not, they don't call it an opt-in or opt-out, but that is essentially what it is. If council doesn't pass a bylaw to allow it in its public spaces, then bring your own events aren't permitted because they can't hit that component that they would need. The other component is that that event would have to be culturally and municipally significant to the community. We already have an MSC process for a special occasion permit. That process is working well, and that's for actual sales of alcohol that's run, but it's not bring your own events. So we're requesting that we just stay status quo. This is an information report and kind of see over the next year how it maybe rolls out in other communities. I do know some neighboring municipalities have voted against permitting this at this time, but I do know that the provincial government is pushing this for tourism, and you'll notice at the provincial park in Wasaga Beach, they've just allowed bring your own events for the provincial park. But you also have to remember that the people power there for park rangers is a lot different than our bylaw enforcement and our staffing. So I think it's just good to just see how it goes over the next year. And in the next council term, if anything changes, we can readdress.
Thank you. Other members of council with any questions? Go ahead, Paul.
When I had a chance to, when I read this report, especially the report, not only our clerk's comments, but those provided by BFL, I see deja vu from last year. It's throwing the full responsibility onto this council. And we went through this last year where we don't want to take on the responsibility. They tell you have to control it, you have to be 19 years of age, they're allowed to do this, this, and this, but there's no benefit to what we have seen right now. We want to support our existing merchants, and our opinion last year was that we were hurting our existing merchants. So I haven't seen anything in this report that tells me to change our decision to support it. And I think about events, example, the music market and parket where the Kinsmen facilitate everything. They got it under control. We've had the liquor license, the board out. It's well run, it's organized. So why ruin a good thing and take one bad apple to ruin everything for us? So I agree with the clerk's comments that we do not make a decision on this or do not accept it because it is strictly the opportunity if the township wants it, and I can't see the benefit of it. So thank you.
Excellent. Good points. Other members? Mr. Walker.
Just going to say to the clerk, I know we accept status quo, but as you said, other municipalities have opted to put a bylaw or put a motion in place not to accept. Is that something we should be looking at down the road, or do we feel comfortable with just leaving it as status quo?
Through your worship to Councillor Walker, so that's not the way that it's kind of laid out. Like I said, it's like an opt-in, opt-out, but you don't have to pass a bylaw stating that you're not participating. By not passing a bylaw to regulate that one of our park areas is open for alcohol consumption, council's choosing not to do it. So if you wanted to, that's when you would pass a bylaw to state which parks and public facilities that you would choose. So by remaining status quo, it's that we're not facilitating that at this time.
All right. Nothing further? Just backing up what the clerk just said, in the way we do our business and the way we talk here at council about motions and bylaws and so on, it's always about moving forward. So if we choose not to move forward, we choose not to buy into or support or opt into this program. That's how you look at it. So there's no motion to move forward, there's no bylaw to be enacted, so nothing is happening. Okay? All right. If I may, I'll probably bring this very point up, Mr. Beelan, when we meet with our OPP board meeting in the next couple of days. We'll have a conversation about this very point there too. Tomorrow, that's right, it's tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, the calendar's full. Okay. Council, you've got a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, and our other item here, which is item 10.5 regarding the UTV purchase. Councillor Broderick is going to step aside. Thank you, Councillor Broderick. All right, Chief, we've got a report here, so I'll read this recommendation and we can get the discussion going here. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive Report FD 002 2026, the Fire Department UTV request for quotation results, dated April 27, 2026. Item 1, the Council approved the quotation submitted by J&R Cycle in the amount of $42,233.47, which includes HST, for the purchase of one 2026 Polaris UTV, as outlined in the report. Can I get a mover and seconder on this motion, please? Phyllis, thank you, and Marty, thank you. That's Councillor Deneen and Councillor Beelan. Chief, I see you went to a full quotation for this, request for quotations, and you've got a pretty good list of respondents. Can you outline for us why your recommendation moved to this particular one, Chief?
Through your worship to council, this is a follow-up from the March 23rd meeting where council gave direction to look at other sources for the UTV. So an RFQ was put out. We received 6 bids. 1 did not qualify, did not meet the specifications. These are the remaining 5. I came down to choosing the Polaris. There were 2 kind of comparable in price, one from Allen Byers Equipment, the other from JR Cycle. But what JR Cycle did include was the extended 5-year warranty, as Byers did not. That's a $2,000 option, which put JR's bid above Byers. And I'm available for any questions.
So just to highlight that again before you go on, there is that the quote by JR Cycle is that they would provide a 5-year warranty period. Is that correct?
That's correct. The next closest bidder was a 2-year warranty.
A 2-year warranty period. Okay. All right. Thank you. Questions, Mr. Broderick? He's not here. We'll go to Mr. Paul Van Stavert.
Thank you. Chief, in our last discussion, which one of the concerns was that the unit itself had to fit on our existing trailer. And the concern was with looking at other units that it wouldn't accommodate that. Is this unit able to fit our trailer, or do we have to make changes?
Through your worship, this unit will fit on the trailer. So in the quotation specifications, there is a maximum length set out, and all the bidders met that length.
Okay, thank you.
All right, other members? Any other questions? Mr. Beelan, go ahead, and then Mr. MacArthur.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know Bud was asking how come we're picking this bid, but if you took the one for 41,000 and some, and you converted it to a 5-year warranty, it would work out to 43,800 and some. So it does make the J&R Cycle bid lower.
Yeah, I could appreciate what you're saying, and Mr. Witzka's message did not indicate what he was asking about, so that's why I didn't answer it. But thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, through your worship to the chief, you mentioned the 2-year warranty by the second lowest bidder. On the lowest bid of 37,000, was there what was the warranty on the CF Moto from the lowest bidder?
Through your worship, the CF Moto is a 5-year warranty also, that comes standard. But the overall specifications, the ground clearance, and the towing capacity, the horsepower, everything for the Polaris Ranger came out just slightly above the CF Moto specifications.
And those specifications were enough to kind of make you lean towards the Polaris then?
That's correct.
Okay. And I must well say, I know we've talked about procurement bylaws and supporting local and all that stuff, but my mind, a $5,000 difference, that's over 10%. We kind of throw a 10% figure around in some of our discussions when we come to procurement. So this is beyond that 10%. So I can't vote in favor of going with this. I think we need to, I've talked to a few people, the CF Moto, as far as reliability and whatnot, and I've talked to Polaris owners, and they don't, so it's a he said, she said when it comes to, everybody has their favorites, so I think we should move to go to the CF Moto bid of $37,000.
All right. Go ahead, Paul.
Quick question for where is CF Moto sold out of?
Through your worship, the bidder for the CF Moto this round is from Uxbridge. It's DT Power Sports.
So I wouldn't support having to go to Uxbridge for repair. I can't, if we have to send a machine down, whether it's warranty or not, we got to go to Uxbridge. That doesn't work for me, so it's a local bid, and I'm okay with that.
All right, thank you. Is there other members of council? Okay. All right. Well, council, we've had a good discussion on it. We need to purchase this machine to get things moving along. I do think that after we have this vote, I'll bring up another small motion just to get some understanding after we deal with this one. If there's nothing further, I am prepared to call the motion. Those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, so noted. That motion carries. Because it carried, I do want to ask a quick question in regards to the current machine. Is it going to be transferred into another department, or what's the status on that?
To your worship, that is a decision for council.
Okay.
So I'm open to whatever option you choose.
Council will have to have that discussion. Go ahead.
Quick question, what's the delivery time on this one, Scott? On whichever unit we buy?
The CF Moto was, right now they're in stock. I believe the Polaris were about a month out.
So we have a month to make a decision, and presumably Mr. Vachon would figure out a way we can make it work for his department for the summer anyways. So, right, Terry?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Through you, yeah, I think we've already provided a list of how we could use that unit. I don't want to sway council's decision one way or the other, but we can definitely use that unit for our park maintenance, trail maintenance, events, garbage managing, so we can definitely use it. I think one of the questions is how to offset the costs. I think the fire department is looking at wanting to, you trade that machine in or get some value for it. So I think from our department, we just got to figure out how we would pay for it if that was the case. But we can definitely use it.
All right, thank you very much. Through the CAO, Mr. CAO, would you be able to stick handle this project and advise council of a recommendation in the future?
Thank you, Your Worship. I was wondering if maybe the CAO's office might be able to use that machine.
Whatever.
We'll certainly take a look to see how we can, have the fire department recoup the money that they'll miss if they don't sell it.
Okay, if you could bring us a report that recommends that, that'd be, give us some good information for council to consider. Thank you very much. All right, council, we're going to move on then. Appreciate that. If somebody wants to go grab Councillor Broderick. Moving on, our next item is the gas tax agreements, which are always exciting. This item was added to our agenda, and it says, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 007-2026 provincial gas tax agreements dated April the 27th, 2026. And item 1, the council authorizes the mayor or clerk to sign annually the letter of agreement with the constitutional monarchy as represented by the Ministry of Transportation to receive the provincial gas tax funds. Are you ready for that, Madam Clerk? Okay, moved by Councillor Deneen, seconded by Councillor Walker. No discussion. Gas tax funds. Do you want to say anything on that? Go ahead.
Just a quick note, Your Worship. This is the provincial gas tax funding that we receive annually. This report is basically taking the annual approval away from council and just saying, yes, please, we want the money.
So those agreements will show up on Sasha's desk and my desk, and we'll just bring the money in.
Absolutely.
Well done. Thank you, council. Appreciate that. Any questions I'll ask for all those in favor. And are there anybody opposed? No, all in favor. Thank you. That passes unanimously. All right, keep your pen sharp there, Madam Clerk. Okay, we're gonna move into our bylaw section. So this is the bylaw for amendment for tribute, blocks 19 through 27 and 29 through 47. Recommendation be it resolved, bylaw 2629, being a bylaw to regulate the use of land and character, location, and use of building structures on lands municipally known as blocks 19 to 27 and blocks 29 to 47, registered plan M51M-1163, formerly Nottawasaga, now in the township of Clearview, be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed on the 27th day of April 2026. Mr. MacArthur, thank you. Mr. Broderick, thank you. Any questions on the bylaw? All those in favor? That bylaw carries. Thank you. We're at notice of motion and new business. There is a notice of motion that was been added to our agenda by Councillor MacArthur. Councillor MacArthur, thank you very much for submitting those notices of motion. And this will be discussed May 11th. So at is that our next council meeting? I guess it is. Yes, it is. Our next council meeting. Thank you very much. At this point, we now have the confirmatory bylaw. Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to move back because the section also includes new business. Mr. Walker.
New business, but old business update.
New business, old business update. Okay, staff, get your pens ready. Here we go. Go ahead, Mr. Walker. I was taking a drink of water, but Dan, you can go right ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Councillor Walker, for the question. The latest update on the speed reduction is the easiest one. I don't have an update on that yet. I reached out to the MTO for an update, and I haven't heard back from them on the implementation of the speed change as of yet. More exciting news. All the permits are in place for the intersection works, the signalization of the intersection from the MTO to the contractor and the consultant. It is anticipated that the electrical contractor for McPherson Homes or Nottawasaga Station will be on site starting next week to do the things that they need to do, the wiring and pole installation. I believe that I just saw today kind of going around as a notice to some property owners, business owners, that the works will be from the start of May till the end of June. So looking forward to that. They have a civil contractor, so the road works that are required, they have them hired and ready to go for the little bit of road works that are required on the west side of Grand Trunk Road, right at the intersection. There's a bit of road work that they need to do, curb realignment, that type of thing. And yeah, that's sort of the update from it. Hoping that those lights, those signals are implemented as soon as possible, because we're also aware that the same contractor for the same developer is wanting to start the works of urbanization on Mowat Street as well. So we want to ensure that the signals are in place and operational before they do those works on Mowat Street, so that the traffic have a safe way in and out of the subdivision, because Mowat Street will be under heavy construction for a good part of the summer into the fall.
Yes, thank you. I hope that we can encourage them to do that then at Grand Trunk, get that done before they start going into Mowat Street, because you're right. That will be a major intersection for the subdivision to access there. So I appreciate that. Thank you. My second question is to the CEO with regards to Service Ontario. Have we heard anything back from Service Ontario at all?
So we haven't heard from the Ministry of Service Ontario. Our MPP actually reached out today, and they're still reviewing the offer, and they're going to follow up and check with the ministry. So there's been no decision as of yet.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all? Okay, thank you. Let's get a supplemental to this discussion about Moa Street. You know, we've put an awful lot of effort into making sure that this Grand Trunk Road gets done properly. But it's been a long time coming to finally get Moa Street going. So are all the permits in place? Is it happening? Moa Street will get developed? Like it's happening this summer?
Through your worship, yeah, every indication is there's a couple little small things that we're working through. There's a bit of a grading issue at one of the properties on Mowat Street, across from the first road. So, no. Junction Road, thank you.
Well done, thank you.
Just across.
All these new roads, you know, you got to put them in here, right? I understand, I get it, yeah.
So there's a minor grading, there's some grading issues that need to happen at that property across from Junction Road. And a small amending agreement that will come back to council as soon as that grading issue has been resolved. But there is every intention that the contractor's been hired, like I previously said, the same contractor is going to be doing the civil works at Grand Trunk and Highway 26.
Perfect.
Are slated to do the works on Mowat Street this year. That is for the portion of Mowat Street from just north of Prescott down to just north of Weir Street.
Right.
Works are well underway. We're finalizing the design for the intersection of Superior, Mowat, and Highway 26. And happy to say in front of council, I think I maybe mentioned it to some of you, but we have received word from the MTO that the extension, the 15-meter extension of the connecting link has been approved by the ministry to move it a little further east out of that intersection. And they're going to be doing that. Registration will take place shortly at no cost. So we had previously been made aware that they wanted $45,000 for that. They're no longer requesting.
Isn't that great
requiring money from us. So,
thank you.
That's a bit of the update for that.
Great, okay. So citizens, it's going to be a busy time on the east side of Stayner. There's no doubt about that. Okay, that's great news. Thank you. And did I see your hand? Yes, Mr. MacArthur.
I just got a thing with the stoplight installation. Is there any designs that the fire chief has a magic button that the lights will automatically, will they have the sensor to change just to relieve the fire truck's safety?
Through your worship, we are looking at options for an Opticom system.
Yeah, good. All right. Thank you, Councillor Walker, for getting into the new business, old business question, man. Good job. Did you have something else you want to add?
I just wanted, and it sort of tweaked me a bit when we announced that our next meeting is May 11th. The mayor will be on May 14th addressing the Tulip Days. And
Yes.
so I'm starting to announce it. Of course, my wife's involved with it. That helps a bit.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be another one of those great events, and the participation from the school and others will be, it's coming in hot and heavy right now. So I just want to get it on your calendars. May 14th is a Thursday, and we look forward to seeing as many people there as possible.
Okay, I'll definitely be there.
Free
I
hamburgers.
hope that Councillor Beelan, you will be there as well, because you've always done a great job emceeing that, so it'd be great to see your speech there too.
And
I've saw it on video because I know that Mike Schulte recorded it, and I saw it once. It was great. You did a good job. So.
And we'll, if Sasha, our clerk would, we'll probably empty the township office for hamburgers.
Oh, hamburgers. Okay,
Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
So let everybody know.
Send the word around.
Send the word around.
Okay.
Kinsmen are cooking hamburgers, so.
Kinsmen, you're fantastic.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our second of last items, which is item 13, the confirmatory bylaw recommendation be it resolved bylaw 2631, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the April 27, 2026 council meeting, be presented and read a first, second, third time, finally passed 27th day of April 2026. Mr. Beelan. Thank you. Mr. Walker. Thank you. All in favor? Confirmatory bylaw carries. Motion to adjourn. What time is it? 8:06. 8:06. That's 8:06. Okay. Councillor Deneen, Deputy Mayor.
And now your worship can go home to bed.
And now I can go. All those in favor? Thank you. And now I need to go and rest. Thank you. I'm going to do this again for county council tomorrow.